talking about the Torture Post department. Anyways, no time for that. Point being was Jamal Murray was supposed to be the superstar. He was on the pathway, and then Jokic took over. And this is why the Nuggets are, as long as nothing crazy happens, this is why the Nuggets are going to be a wagon for the next 3, 4, 5 years. Because what is the question when you start when we saw the super team era start taking off, right? And I think it officially started when LeBron went to the Miami Heat. I think that was the official start of the super team, and it changed kind of the way the NBA did business. Credit to LeBron, he worked the system, and LeBron was like, "Yeah, I get to choose where I want to go. I'm going to turn the NBA into college recruitment." And I'm gonna look around. Now, I know that a lot of people will say, well, Justin, the Boston Celtics before LeBron went to the Heat were a super team. And you could maybe make that case that Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, and Paul Pierce were technically a super team. But my argument against, there's the letter of the law and there's the spirit of the law. The letter of the law, sure. 3 Hall of Famers. Was at one point until Steph Curry beat his record, one of the greatest three-point shooters of all time. Kevin Garnett, incredible talent, and Paul Pierce. Spirit of the law is that was Danny Ainge's concoction. I guess maybe instead of super team, I should say more player empowerment. The Miami Heat was LeBron James's concoction. The Miami Heat, with Chris Bosh and with Dwayne Wade, who was already there, I believe, I know Pat Riley gets a ton of credit, but if LeBron wanted to go to the Miami Heat or wanted to go to the New York Knicks, Pat Riley is not this genius who got
he was still Showtime though.
He was, but LeBron made that happen because LeBron made that decision, and that started a wave of players going like, I can just make my own team.
So do you think?
And we saw that over and over again. But then what was always the biggest question when you started seeing these super teams created by players, not by GMs?
Yeah. Do you think
the biggest question was who could make the last shot? Go ahead.
Yeah. Do you think now that we could see, like, because you're absolutely right, I think, about Denver. Do you think Jokic is the new Tim Duncan to where Mike Malone's a good coach, obviously not Pop, but just a really good coach, and they just move pieces in and out around Jokic for the next maybe decade, maybe it's even longer than that. And it's like, Jokic is good enough to just surround him with a great supporting cast. You know how the Spurs were different times. There were some early in the 2000s. They went down a little bit, got back up, then got the young Kawhi to help Duncan finish it off.
I don't know enough about basketball to know if their game is a comp, because I'm sure there's some basketball nerd out there, and we appreciate the basketball nerds for listening to the show. But I would say from a temperament standpoint and from an ego standpoint, I think you're spot on. Because
Tim Duncan didn't have multiple MVPs, did he?
We should probably look that up. There was a stretch of he got 2 MVPs.
Two in 2002, 2003.
And that was
five-time champ, though.
And that was in the weird time. It's still the NBA MVP is so weird, right? Because you can go back to any sport and look at the MVP. Football, right? You go and look at the MVP, and you're like, hey, Aaron Rodgers won the MVP. Who was the best quarterback that year, though? It was Aaron Rodgers. He won the MVP. That's who they gave it to. The NBA, we get real cute. It's like, hey, who is the best player? Michael Jordan. But who won the MVP? Charles Barkley. It's like, but what? Well, we just got sick and tired of giving Michael Jordan the MVP. Everybody knew in 1993 that Michael Jordan was the best player on the planet and the greatest player of all time. But we can't just give him the award every year. So we gave it to Charles Barkley, 1997. Who was the best player in 1990?
And he took that personally.
But we did it so many times, and I think it happened to Tim Duncan a couple of times. Like, we just got tired of Tim Duncan for a 5-year stretch was the best player in the world. And that was a world that included Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. And for a 5-year stretch, Tim Duncan was the best. You just can't give him an MVP every single year, which is why I thought that Jokic wasn't going to win it this year. I thought there was going to be Jokic fatigue. Just like we saw Giannis fatigue. We saw Giannis fatigue happen a couple years ago. It's like Giannis won back-to-back. Is he still the best player in the world when healthy? Yeah, but we can't just give him the award every single year. So Point being about the Denver Nuggets. Unlike some of the super teams and the manufactured teams, which you have to define roles, Jokic is the alpha on the team. It is Nikola Jokic's team. But Jamal Murray hit 2 game winners in this series. And you know what nobody is worried about? Who's going to take that shot? That's why the Nuggets are in such a good spot. Because you can even go back to The Last Dance. Remember the Scottie Pippen thing from the 90s when Jordan was playing baseball and it was like, Phil Jackson's like, Scotty, you got to do this, and then we're going to give Kukoc the shot, and Scotty was like, no, it's my team. That's my shot. That happens a lot in the NBA. Still, to this day. I'm sure there's plenty of players who are like, no, that's Jokic. Jokic is in a position where it's like, if it's my shot, it's my shot. If Murray's open, which was some of the most horrendous defense I've seen, the Lakers trying to guard Jamal Murray, it seemed like, and I know it wasn't on, but it seemed like Anthony Davis, because remember, Anthony Davis was a prominent fixture in that first game winner that Jamal Murray hit. It seemed like Anthony Davis was like, I do not want to be a part of this. I don't want to be guarding him when he hits another one. He's retreating. Nobody's coming to help, right?
Saying, Justin, that AD maybe already booked his tropical vacation?
I want to talk about this with Pounce in the third hour. The Anthony Davis legacy takes hit after hit after hit. It is so complicated. It might not be over, but again, goes down, had a shoulder injury last night. To his credit, didn't leave the game. Played the rest of the game, but it was bugging him the entire time.
Do you think he's one of those players, and you mentioned someone else to me yesterday, Justin, who you're like, if he was motivated all the time, would probably be the best big man in the NBA, or one of. Do you AD already is? Do you think he could be even better if he was on it all the time?
I don't know him, so it sounds unfair, but I feel that. It feels that way. Maybe he's just a big, long, lanky 7-footer that just is in a massive amount of discomfort all the time. Anyways, we got a lot of basketball to talk about. Devon Pouncey joins us in hour number 3. We will have a Get Off My Lawn in hour number 2, but you saw Travis Kelce get a bag yesterday, and that bag was delivered by the Kansas City Chiefs, but was also signed off by Patrick Mahomes, who reworked his deal. At what point in your career do you give up cash for legacy? We'll talk about that and some other quarterback stuff coming up next. 620 Rip City Radio. All right, we're going to get back into some basketball in about 20 minutes. We got Round Ball Rock. Other games last night, plus you see NBC trying to squeeze out TNT to maybe be a big-time player with the NBA media rights deal that's coming up this summer. Something like, what was the number? $2.5 billion per year is what NBC is apparently looking to bid, which, according to some media sources, put Warner Brothers, which owns obviously TNT, a little bit on the ropes. $2.5 billion for the NBA.
I know as a whole, Justin, Warner Brothers could they could probably make that work, but that's a lot of cash.
There's so much money.
I feel like both NBC and whoever else competes for it are probably doing the Colorado Dion thing. We don't know how we're going to pay for it. We'll just figure it out.
Well, you have to be able to have live sports if you want your network to have anything, right? Because we talked about it, yesterday. What are you watching network TV for anymore other than local news and live sports? Everything else is streaming. Even the shows. I believe there's still a lot of people that watch The Voice, right? And there's a lot of people that still watch American Idol. I can't imagine, though, their appointment viewing. I can't imagine that, hey, it's Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Us as a family, we sit down and we watch The Voice. No, it's hey, we got The Voice on the DVR. Do we want to watch that tonight? Because you can buzz through commercials, or we've got it streaming on the service. It's the next day, all that stuff. The only appointment TV viewing anymore is live sports. That's it. That's all. When was the last appointment show you watched? I very much remember the last one I watched. But when was the last show where you were like, no, I watch this show when it comes out? Was it Breaking Bad?
So can you no, because I didn't catch that live.
Okay.
So can we, because Justin, I have not watched a TV show at night that has required me to go to bed past. So can we say I recorded it and I wanted to, and I was the first thing the next morning when I got
No. What I am talking about is the last time you were like, this show comes on Thursdays at 8. That's when I watch it.
Couldn't tell you.
So not even even go back to Breaking Bad.
No, most Better Call Saul was that for me, but
Yeah.
it was
So Better Call Saul.
But it was record it and watch it the next morning after I leave you, because that was most of the shows that I'm watching on AMC, Justin, are starting at 9 or 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And, I ain't figuring to get less sleep, but yeah, probably.
Mine was it was Game of Thrones.
Didn't watch that live either.
Yeah, Game of Thrones
especially
last season of Game of Thrones. Hey, it's Sunday at 8 o'clock. Game of Thrones is on, because that was also the we didn't know how to do spoilers on social media yet. We hadn't reached a decorum. Now I think we've kind of figured some things out. But anyways, might be some potentially big NBA news. Also, how much and I in all seriousness, how much does it factor in that you've got the NBA on TNT, which is Barkley, Kenny the Jet, Shaq, and Ernie Johnson, which is the best show, the best pregame show there is. College Game Day, I believe, is second, even though Game Day has fallen off a bit. 3 hours is too long for Game Day. It's too long. Game Day needs to be 2 hours. But outside of those two shows, no other pregame show is worth watching. But the Inside the NBA on TNT, that's appointment. You stick around for halftime. I was watching Heat Celtics last night, and it was a boring game. The Heat were not a match for the Celtics. The Celtics were woken up, but I'm at least gonna stick around and watch the guys at halftime. And Kenny the Jet fell down, and they made a whole thing of it. And Charles Barkley told the story about it at the steam room, and it was hilarious. What happens to that show? if I'm not mistaken, Ernie Johnson's he's a Turner lifer. Because you got to know about Ernie Johnson Jr., you got to know about Ernie Johnson Sr., Brenden, which I know about because Ernie Johnson Sr. was a broadcaster for the Braves on TBS. And Ernie Johnson is a Turner lifer. So do we lose inside the NBA? Do they steal? Could it even work on any other place? Probably not. So that's something to be said. Speaking of a lot of money, Travis Kelce just got paid yesterday. Let's see, what was the deal? Let's see, I have it right here. Brenden put it in the update. 2 years, $34.25 million extension. I think 17 of it is guaranteed. He's going to get paid out on it. So he is now the highest paid tight end, and the Chiefs are doing some interesting things right now. Because the Chiefs are on a different level than any other team in the NFL. Any other team in the NFL, the Chiefs are now building a dynasty. Nobody else in the NFL has even gotten to step one of dynasty level. But the Chiefs have got 3 Super Bowls. They've got a quarterback. They've got their weapons. They paid Chris Jones last year, so you've got your best defensive player. Andy Reid's not going anywhere for the foreseeable future, it seems. And now, over the last couple of years, the Kansas City Chiefs are doing a little cap dance because I believe the deal that Travis Kelce had was a team-friendly deal. He was the 4th highest paid tight end in the NFL. I think it was George Kittle was 1, T.J. Hawkinson was 2. Who was the guy that was married to Kelsey Plum? They're getting divorced now.
Oh, Darren Waller.
Darren Waller.
Or no.
I think he's tight end, right?
Yeah, sorry. I always get him and Wallen. Yeah, Waller. Excuse me.
Thank you. Darren Waller.
They broke up?
I'm pretty sure.
Really? Oh, that'd be news to me, man. That was a nice power couple.
Well, you know what? Love dies sometimes.
It's a bummer. I did not know that. That is news to me this morning.
Because don't they both play in Vegas? Doesn't he play in Vegas?
But he got traded to the Giants.
Maybe
so that would explain the long distance.
I mean, yeah. Either way, Travis Kelce's now number 1. And it sounds like, not sounds like, it is, because you just do the math, that the reason that there was enough money that was opened up to get him a new deal and an extension and to make him the highest paid tight end, not just in the game right now, but the highest paid tight end in NFL history, was because Patrick Mahomes reworked his deal. And
making $9 million a year, Justin, prior to this. I was 5-year, about $50 million. So just a little bit less.
So and it was one of those, I believe, where they were like, hey, help us out here. We'll reward you on the back end, which some teams are very good about. Some teams are not good about. Some teams like to play games like that, which is one of the problems in the NFL, which is why you don't get, Russell Wilson, for all of his faults, and he has plenty, I don't blame him for not reworking his deal with the Denver Broncos last year. I don't blame him one bit. It's no, this is the deal that you guys signed me to. If I rework this deal, because he could afford it, right? But if he reworked his deal, it's that sets a precedent now. And I remember when I was in Seattle, I worked with a guy there. His name is Dave Wyman. He is an incredible football guy. He's a very good radio guy. He played linebacker for both the Seahawks and the Broncos. And I remember asking him one time, because that was back in the pre-COVID days when we used to hang out in the office and you could shoot the you-know-what and kind of pick each other's brain. And I remember asking him, does it get weird in the locker room when guys get paid? Because you would think in any part of life where everybody's salary is opened up and you know exactly what everybody's getting paid, somebody gets a raise and you don't, there's got to be jealousy there. There has to be jealousy there. There's got to be human nature. And I'm like, does it screw up the locker room when guys get paid? And he said, no. And I'm like, it's part of the NFL culture because guys believe that, okay, if he got paid, then that raises the market value for all of us. When you get paid, market value is raised. And that's why you don't see a lot of guys doing what Patrick Mahomes is doing right now. And it's why you don't see what a lot of guys doing what Tom Brady did years ago, which was sign team-friendly deal after team-friendly deal after team-friendly deal. Because guys in the NFL know that once you set the market, then you are taking care of everybody else. If you rework that deal, that could put a wedge, I think, in the locker room. If you rework your deal to a team-friendly deal, it's like, well, wait. So now, quarterback who already has, $150 million in career earnings, you're going to rework your deal? But there's one asterisk, which is what we're going to talk about right now. And there's one clause in it is the legacy clause. I think Russell Wilson was 100% correct by not reworking his deal with the Broncos. Because you don't want to set a precedent. You don't want to be the guy that is like, all right, I came in, I signed a bloated deal. Now I'm gonna rework it. And I know there's part of it was the injury exception or the injury clause and all that. It's like, I don't want to set a precedent. This was the deal I signed. This is the deal you guys liked.
Y'all gave it to me. I didn't ask for it.
I'm not changing. You want to bench me? Fine. I'll go play for the Steelers. But I do think you get to a point where if you are Patrick Mahomes, I think like everybody in the league probably looks at Patrick Mahomes and is like, yeah, if I were him, I would go team-friendly deal the whole rest of the way out because he is on a different level. So I guess here's the question. At what point do you, as a football player, stop worrying about your bank account and stop worrying not just your bank account because it affects everybody. Stop worrying about market value. Because that's I think a kind of a myth in the NFL, right? The myth is that these guys, they're just so greedy that it's like, no, they want to set the market. Because if they take something below market value, then that sets a precedent, like Russell Wilson was talking about last summer. That sets a precedent. And then other players in your position group and even other players on your team will suffer from it because the market value then goes down. You're messing with the economy here. But there's always an asterisk. There's always a clause. It's the legacy clause. And I think Patrick Mahomes is in it. Is it after 3 Super Bowls? Is that where you get to a point where, like, I don't think anybody in the NFL would bat an eye and be like, yep, I get it. He should be on team-friendly deals the whole rest of the way out. Because that guy has an actual legitimate chance to chase Tom Brady.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, at the same token, Justin, yes, but then you also have quarterbacks from other teams who, I'm trying to think of someone like Lamar Jackson, right? Who's like, seriously, Patrick? Like, you're going to take less money again?
Yeah.
Like, and some guys, their ego probably wouldn't let them. Like, Justin, it really is individual. Like, if you're asking me, it would be hard to give up multi-million dollars when it's like, hey, some guys are probably fine with making the playoffs every year, being one of the highest paid at their position, and that. Now, going to your point, Mahomes is on the Brady path, and he's like, I'm going to, leave all y'all in the wake kind of a thing.
Because I think if Justin Herbert took a team-friendly deal, right, because I don't believe he did. I think he got a very good deal.
He hasn't proven anything.
If he took a team-friendly deal, I think agents, because this is the other thing, your agent then probably has to take all the slings and the arrows, but I think other players around the league would all be like, wait, what are you doing? Why are you not taking market value? Why are you taking a team-friendly deal? You're screwing it up for everybody. If Joe Burrow did the same thing, right? If Joe Burrow was like, we went to 1 Super Bowl, haven't gotten back. I need more weapons. I'm going to restructure my deal. Because what's Joe Burrow's deal? He's at like $49 million a year, something crazy like that. If Joe Burrow came in without winning anything, it was like, we need to pay for more guys. I'm going to restructure my deal, maybe put some money out there on the back end, and we can spread it out until this salary cap is, because it's going to raise.
Well, yeah, and then you just look at the numbers, Justin. Like, it's almost unbelievable just to say them out loud. Patrick, it's like winners get sprinkles, as Justin and I say.
Mm-hmm.
When you're 74-22 as a starting quarterback, you've lost 22 times as a starting quarterback, and you're 15-3 in the postseason with 3 Super Bowls.
That's pretty good. 6 straight AFC Championship game appearances.
Just like, yeah, you can kind of do whatever you want, Patrick. The world is your
oyster.
And
that's because I think that's where we're at right now. No other quarterback, I think, is in that kind of position. And that's where Tom Brady got away with it too. For years and years and years, right? Tom Brady was never the highest paid player in the league. And I think it was probably because after about 3 Super Bowls, they're like, there wasn't the Brady path back then because it didn't exist. He was on the Jordan path. It was like, yeah, that guy is trying to win Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl. And it was one of those things, like you get a sense of it in the Dynasty documentary with Brady and the Patriots, which is like right about, and again, it's the greatest problem to have of any organization, but right about the time that it gets to almost breaking up to where they're like, we're tired of Belichick. I'm ready for this to be over. Right about the time it starts breaking, they go to another Super Bowl. And they're like, well, we can't leave now. And then it starts to crack and some injuries and Aaron Hernandez and Belichick. And it's like, well, nope, we're going to go to another Super Bowl. But you could kind of understand with Tom Brady, like, Tom Brady's on a different level. And that's where Patrick Mahomes is right now. And then restructuring the deal. Because also, Patrick Mahomes is not stupid. He knew, and I don't know for certain, I just know that he probably went into negotiations with the team and was like, yeah, I will restructure my deal because Kelce gets paid. Because I don't know if there's a more important guy to a quarterback in this league right now than Travis Kelce is to Patrick Mahomes. Is there? Is there another guy? Like, we're going to find out how good the Bills are without Stephon Diggs, right? We're going to find out how good Kirk Cousins is without Justin Jefferson. But in terms of like a quarterback, I would say maybe Brock Purdy and his merry men, which you count Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, even though Ayuk might be, or he might be on the trading block, and Christian McCaffrey. I don't know if there is a single player that is as connected and as responsible for success to a quarterback as, say, Travis Kelce is to Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if it exists. I mean, there's like Tyreek Hill to Tua changed Tua's career, I think. But they're not winning Super Bowls. They're just getting to the postseason. Maybe Jamar Chase and Burrow, but again, we got to wait and see.
You got to prove it with at least one Super Bowl. Like, that's where it's like.
So that's why Patrick Mahomes, I guarantee, when it was like, yeah, I'm going to restructure the deal so Kelce gets paid. Because I might be able to win a Super Bowl without him, but I certainly don't want to find out.
And
I don't
want them, Justin, right now. How? Not. I'm not going to say scared, but just is the league not like, oh boy, they're going for 3, and we don't really know how they got worse. They probably got better.
Luckily, though, the league is like, you go young, and eventually time will catch up to them. But yeah, or maybe we're staring at another Patriots. We might be. All right, coming up next. LeBron and the Lakers go down. Well, sources saying, are the Lakers going to stoop to the drafting of Bronny to keep LeBron on the roster? Plus some more TV stuff with the NBA, plus games coming up tonight. We got Round Ball Rock coming up next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, time to wrap up hour number one. We saw teams moving on into the second round yesterday. A couple more teams were eliminated in the postseason. Also, the Heat now on the brink of elimination as they woke up the Boston Celtics. As the Celtics take Game 4 in Miami last night, plus maybe some TV stuff. And, well, LeBron's eliminated, so we got to talk about what LeBron does next. Credit to him. He is the only guy in sports who can lose in 5 games in round 1 and still make a splash. Everybody else just going off to Cancun. For this, we need some Tesh, which, by the way, may be an appropriate song today, which is Round Ball Rock. Here we go.
They would certainly remake the music, wouldn't they?
No, they're doing this.
You think so?
This is iconic.
Well, I know it is, but do you think they would bring back something that's 20-some years old or redo
Yes.
it?
I think so. I don't know. If they don't, I riot.
Sometimes a new jingle is not the worst thing.
I mean, could you imagine?
This is Michael Jordan jingle.
But, like, you finally get the NBA on NBC. Today on the NBA on NBC. That's my Marv Albert. It's perfect. We use it every day. Does it feel dated? I don't think so. Could you imagine, like, I think the NFL on Fox, I think that's the same stuff that they've been using. Like, yeah, I think the NFL on Fox is the one they've been doing since the 90s. So I don't think they change it. Well, by the way, what we're talking about, $2.5 billion apparently is what the NBC offer is to the NBA to be part of a media rights package. The NBA's never leaving ABC and ESPN. I think that deal is pretty much done for a while. But apparently NBC is now trying to outbid Turner because NBC and all of these networks understand that the only thing that works anymore for broadcast television is live sports. And so they are going to pay and pay and pay. It's how we got the massive amounts of money in college football, right? It's the Big Ten could not have afforded to go and steal all these other teams if they didn't get a $1 billion deal from, I think, NBC. And NBC knows that if we want to remain viable, Chicago PD is a great show, but it's not as good as college football, Notre Dame football, NBA basketball, Sunday night NFL football. So that's where you get a $2.5 billion deal. I am a little bit worried what happens to the inside the NBA show. If in fact this goes down, or does Turner pony up?
I think that if they don't, they will be transitioned into the
I don't think Barkley. One, I don't think Ernie Johnson goes. Ernie Johnson's a Turner guy.
Money can do a lot of things, Justin. Motivate a
Go
lot of
back
people.
and look at Ernie Johnson's story, though. I don't think he leaves Turner Broadcasting in any way, shape, or form. And I don't know if Charles Barkley goes to work for other bosses, because Charles Barkley gets to say what he wants on TNT.
Well,
I don't know if Charles Barkley goes to NBC and he can sit there and talk about how overweight the females are in San Antonio and have everybody laugh and joke about that. I don't know if you do that on NBC.
I think it would be best if it, like, obviously best is for Warner Brothers to pony up, but again, Warner Brothers doesn't have as much in the bank as NBC or in this case Disney. And I don't know, Justin, like Disney and ESPN let Pat McAfee say whatever they want, so maybe Disney should hire him.
Well,
why not? House and Mouse, baby.
It would be a much better show than what ESPN puts out there, which is Stephen A. Smith.
Totally, I don't
claiming
disagree.
he knows everybody, and
I'm just
I'm
throwing
like,
ideas out there.
Hey, no umbrella in a brainstorm, Brenden. Let's throw them all out there, right? But quickly, so LeBron James and the Lakers, they get eliminated yesterday. The Denver Nuggets are moving on. We're going to talk more about the Nuggets coming up later on in the show, because I think the Nuggets are set up for another run here, unless, injuries, but I think the Nuggets are set up for another run. What is the future of the Lakers? What is the future of LeBron James? Because he has a deal where he essentially can pick his team every single year the rest of the way on his career. He's earned it, and good for him. That's good business. Well, he was asked flat out after the game, and in the best possible LeBron James way, here was his response when asked if he's going to be on the Lakers next year, or if this was his last game with the Lakers.
Tonight, was there any thought at all that, this could have been your last game with the Lakers?
I'm not going to answer that. Appreciate it.
And he's out.
Appreciate it, though, Justin.
Appreciate it. Well, it was also his last answer. He said appreciate it, and then he left.
Oh, got you. At least he didn't get up and walk away. He's done that before.
He's also given the, man, I don't know. He is made for TV, man. He is like, I don't know if even Michael Jordan, I don't know if anybody grasps and understands the moment as well as LeBron James does. He understands, like, yep, I'm in this point in my career where, and then when like somebody asked him the same thing a little bit earlier, he was like, I don't know, I haven't put much thought into it. All right. That's a complete and utter lie, because everything that you have done in your entire career, and it's worked, but everything you've done in your entire career, you've put much thought into. You're telling me you didn't think about this? Now, here's where it gets real interesting, because according to Shams and others with The Athletic, let's see.
We like Shams again?
I feel like fairly credible. Sam Amick, he's been on the show. We like him. He was part of this report as well. Jovan Boa, do you know who he is?
Can't say I do.
They all work for The Athletic.
Okay.
And there's a whole very long story on The Athletic. But one of the little nuggets in there is that sources inside the Lakers have told The Athletic that they would be willing to draft Bronny James next year in the first round. Now, Bronny James obviously is eligible for the NBA draft, and he is also in the transfer portal, so he can go either way. I have said that if I think Bronny James ends up playing at Ohio State next year, and I think LeBron maybe potentially makes his way back to Cleveland. But if the Lakers go to LeBron and say, hey, it's a done deal.
So,
We're drafting, like, where would they would draft, like, what, 14th or 17th, 18th?
Little hair in the soup there, Justin. Their first-round pick is going to the New Orleans Pelicans for the Anthony Davis trade.
I said they'd have to make a trade.
So they have one pick, 55. So unless, he would be available
He
in the
would
second
be
round.
available at 55.
But LeBron's
Unless somebody else wants to play games.
which we just saw it in the NFL draft. Why would it not happen in the
You
NBA
get like an
draft
Atlanta
too?
Hawks situation where you're like, we'll draft Bronny and
On over.
all right, maybe more on this coming up. We've got Make or Miss. We've got Get Off My Lawn. Hour number 2 coming up next, 620 Rip City Radio. It is 7 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Justin Myers with you. NBA playoffs last night saw the Oklahoma City Thunder move on to the second round. They get a 4-game sweep of the New Orleans Pelicans after a 97-89 win. The Boston Celtics pushed the Heat to the brink of elimination with a 102-88 victory. They're up 3-1. And the Nuggets with another game winner from Jamal Murray finish off the Lakers 4-1, 108-106. Tonight, Sixers look to stay alive against the Knicks. Magic and the Cavs, they're both tied up at 2 games apiece, and the Pacers could be eliminating the Milwaukee Bucks tonight as well. NFL news, the Chiefs gave Travis Kelce a 2-year, $34.25 million extension, making him the highest paid tight end in NFL history. Devon Pouncey, friend of the program, joins us live in studio in hour number 3. But hour 2 of Rip City Morning starts right now on 620 Rip City Radio. Hey, welcome back to Rip City Mornings, everybody. Woo. Came in a little too hot there, didn't I? We got Make or Miss coming up in about 20 minutes. You all get off my lawn coming up in about 40 minutes. Athletic reports that the Lakers could potentially draft Bronny James. That is according to Shams Charania. It's in the Athletic. It is on Twitter. It is out there. Don't know how high level the source is. Don't know how serious it is. It might also be a smokescreen. It might also be somebody inside the organization going like, yeah, we got to keep all hands on deck. Here's where it could get weird. Now, maybe, I'm not giving enough respect to the NBA draft. And if I am disrespecting the NBA draft in any way, shape, or form, I apologize. But I don't think I am. Because, Brenden, we have talked about multiple times that in the NBA draft, after you get past pick 6 or 7, it's all kind of a crapshoot at that particular point, right? Even at that point, top 3 is nothing's guaranteed, but when you look at how teams have built through the draft, a good chunk of it, Jason Tatum, Luka Doncic, Joel Embiid, you look at these teams, they do it with top 3 draft picks. And sure, there's a Steph Curry at 7 overall. Sure, there's a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 11 overall. Sure, there is Giannis at 14 overall. And the biggest second-round draft pick in the history of the NBA, which is Jokic. Sure, they're out there. But for the most part, after the top 5 or 6, it's kind of a crapshoot. So let me throw out this scenario. Let's just have some fun.
Let's look back at a recent draft, and you could pick it. I mean, how far is long enough to say, Justin, that you 2020, 2021?
I mean, all of them really since, probably in the last 10, 15 years.
I mean, 2021 is one of my favorites because
really, you can even go since the one and done rule, right?
Yeah, like like Cade Cunningham, right? How good is Detroit? He was number 1 overall pick.
So let's live in this hypothetical. Let's just say, because as much as I like to celebrate LeBron losing, and as much as I get a kick, and
it is a lot of fun.
And as much as the whole LeBron show annoys me, I understand. I am part of also the problem, which is LeBron James is an enigma. He draws eyeballs. He draws attention. They just got beat 4-1. They've won 1 time in the last 14 times they have played the Denver Nuggets. And a reporter last night asked LeBron James, well, the way you guys competed with the defending champs, does it make you think about running it back with the Lakers? And it was like, competed? Yeah, I know Jamal Murray hit 2-game winners, but anybody notice that they've won 1 time in the last 14 games. That's not competing. To LeBron's credit, he said, look, it's not about a participation trophy. Then he lied and said he didn't put much thought into it. But we don't know, but we all have a pretty good hunch that LeBron James, well, we do know. He's said it multiple times. LeBron wants to play with his kid. LeBron James grew up. He's around the same age as I am. He grew up idolizing Ken Griffey Jr. just like I did. And Ken Griffey Jr., one uniqueness that he has was he got to play Major League Baseball with his dad, both at an incredibly high level. I don't know of another father-son duo that's ever been able to do that off the top of my head. It's clearly the most famous example. They hit back-to-back home runs one time. It's one of the coolest things ever in sports. And LeBron James was a child of the 90s watching Ken Griffey Jr.
Vlad Sr., Vlad Jr.
Did they play together?
I
I thought about that, but I didn't know if their paths ever crossed. Were they both in the league at the same time? Or
let's confirm this.
we probably should. We strive for accuracy, if anything, on this show. But getting back to LeBron. Just like all of us, he was obsessed with Ken Griffey Jr. He is also obsessed with legacy, which, again, I don't blame him.
They did not overlap.
They did not. I didn't think so. But LeBron James has been pretty smart about this legacy stuff. He knows in the back of his mind he can't beat Jordan. He knows that. But he could beat Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's points, right? And he could do something that nobody else in the NBA has done, pull a Ken Griffey Jr., Ken Griffey Sr., and he could play with his own son. And that all adds to the legacy of LeBron. Dwight James put out a question on Twitter, I think it was last week. He said, is there a team out there that would be willing to take a first-round pick on a guy that averaged 4 points a game in the Pac-12 on a bad Pac-12 team, who had a heart condition? Remember, let's not forget that, had a heart condition, and has clearly proven that he is a good basketball player. You can't just play in the Pac-12 and be terrible. This is not like, was it Lil Romeo? Didn't he play? Or Lil Bow Wow? Which one of the Lils played? Because he was O.J. Mayo's friend. I think it was Lil Romeo.
Like Lil Bow Wow he was in Like Mike.
Yeah, I think it was Lil Romeo, who was Master P's kid, who played for USC, but he'd never played. He was just there because O.J. Mayo was his friend, and USC got O.J. Mayo.
He was there.
But he didn't play. Bronny plays. He's not a standout, but he's a Pac-12 caliber basketball player.
I gave it 3 years, too. Good for him, man. Free scholarship.
I think Master P might have footed that bill. I think he might have been a preferred walk-on to be able to get O.J. Mayo to come to USC. Neither here nor there. So the Lakers, as you mentioned, Brenden, they don't pick till 55.
It's a long time.
Into the second round. Which, even at 55, drafting a guy who averaged 4 points and I think 3 rebounds in the Pac-12 would be a stretch, right? Even at 55, that's a stretch. But if the Lakers assure LeBron James, say, hey, if Bronny is there at 55, we're taking him. And we're talking about it. The Athletic has already put it out there. What happens if you are the Cleveland Cavaliers? And you're the Cleveland Cavaliers, and you're going to be drafting somewhere in the 20s. Like I said, I don't want to disrespect the NBA draft, but certain teams don't even need a first-round pick. They're going to take one, and maybe it'll pop. But if you're the Cavs, you don't need a first-round pick. Your team is kind of set the way it is. You're going to draft into the 20s. Maybe you'll get a guy. Maybe you won't.
Interestingly enough, Justin, searched into this a little bit more. So here's a little play the game as far as it. So the Pelicans have the Lakers pick, as I mentioned this year, which is currently 17th. However, Justin, the Pelicans have the right to say, no, 17's not where we want to pick and defer it to next year when LeBron's older. If you're the Pelicans, do you take 17 or do you say, yeah, there's a thought. All those guys be older.
This is very deal or no deal.
It is, right?
But what does the bank say? Do you want to go with Meghan Markle's case, or do you want to? It's on deal or no deal. Never forget.
You're right. But say the Pelicans are like, nah, we'll take it next year. Then all of a sudden, Bronny could go to 17.
So now you got 17.
So that's kind of interesting that the Pelicans kind of hold their future dangling here.
Okay, hypothetical. I'm going to set the hypothetical rules because this is the fun part about hypotheticals. They're whatever you want them to be. Let's just say the Pelicans say, no, we're taking that 17th pick. We're not going to trust that somehow, some way, Anthony Davis figures it out next year, and the Lakers are back in the Western Conference Finals, and we're picking in the 20s. The Lakers are as bad as they've been in terms of draft order for the foreseeable future. We're not risking it. We're taking 17. So now the Lakers don't pick until 55. I keep coming back to the Cavs because I think the Cavs would do this. If you're a team like the Cavs, you don't need your first-round pick. You can essentially throw it away. You've got a team that is good enough to finish top 6 in the East for the foreseeable future. You've got Donovan Mitchell. If you're the Cavs, do you draft Bronny and just sit him at the end of the bench and go, hey, LeBron, you want to come home?
We heard you really like Cleveland.
You want one more run at this? Or how about this? What if you're the New York Knicks? What if you're the New York Knicks? Knicks have always wanted LeBron James. He spurned them. They thought they were getting LeBron James. He spurred them, went to Miami. If you're the New York Knicks, who are going to be picking somewhere in the 20s, now I don't know if Tom Thibodeau is going to be interested in playing this game, but if James Dolan comes out as owner and says, hey, we don't need that 20th-something whatever pick, and Thibodeau is like, yeah, we do. I found a defender because that's all I draft is defenders.
Yeah, the Knicks could clear space. They could make room and have money to buy LeBron.
Well,
pay for LeBron outright.
Well, here's, again, living in my hypotheticals, we talked about it with football. LeBron James, he takes a team-friendly deal to play with his kid.
The Knicks would be quite the team to do that for.
Wouldn't they?
Yeah, they would be.
Wouldn't they? Drafted in the 20s. You've got Brunson. You've got, Josh Hart seems to have a newfound confidence playing in New York.
Can hit the threes in New York.
He's shooting them.
Funny how that works.
Remember when he got trigger shy?
Oh, I do.
Or gun shy, I guess.
do.
It's trigger happy and gun shy. Remember when he got gun shy and he just wouldn't shoot?
Most Blazer fans look at it now, Justin, and go, Josh Hart? Oh, yeah, we turned him into Chris Murray. Like that. Like it's
hey, story isn't written on Chris Murray
not yet, but
story's not written.
It's he's got to develop a little bit, but that's how it is right now.
But if you're like the Cavs or the Knicks, and you're just like, just throw away a first-round pick, we might get LeBron. I don't know if any other team could pull it off.
Curious.
The Heat wouldn't do this. But because you think, well, what about Orlando? It's Orlando's not doing that, and LeBron's not going to Orlando.
Knicks have 2 first-round picks. They pick 24, 25.
They draft Bronny with 1, get LeBron James to sign a veteran minimum deal so that he could play with his kid, and they make a run at it.
And Cavs pick 20.
And you get to screw over the Lakers.
Justin's little theory has some legs here, folks. Or at least there's a pathway. I'll put it that way. There is a path.
There's a pathway to my weird hypothetical, which is a win, because usually my hypotheticals, you like to come in and you go, type, and you go, yeah, it can't happen. Not possible. And I'm like, watch out for the Cavs and the Knicks. That's all I'm saying. All right. We got Make or Miss. That's coming up next. 620, Rip City Radio. All right, about 20, 25 minutes or so. We've got Get Off My Lawn. It is Tuesday. I don't feel like I am telling tales outside of school, but Brendan's reached his level of springtime grumpiness. It wasn't directed at me. I could just feel the vibe when I came into the room this morning, and I was like,
I need some sunshine, man.
I feel like it's hit. He's hit his wall. We all do. We all hit our wall. My wall is always April. April is always my wall, and then because we'll get that fake spring, which we just had. We had the fake spring,
and now
or
it's
the
cold
fake
again,
summer,
Justin.
and then it's cold again. It's back to winter again, and it's like, wait, May is tomorrow, right? Isn't tomorrow May? And it's like, yeah, what's the weather going to be like? 50 and rain. Like, wasn't that December? Yeah.
Justin.
And so, like, you have to, like, hunker down, and it's tough. But every one of us kind of reach our breaking point, and I feel like appropriate on a grumpy old man Tuesday, even though you're a grumpy young lad, you've reached your point. You've reached your point.
I'm just ready.
You've had enough.
Yeah,
You've had enough. You want to put the puffy coat away. You would like a nice breezy windbreaker, maybe, or, maybe a zip-up hoodie because it's might not rain, and you're done. You've had it.
Yeah, it probably was from the fact that I walked my dog yesterday and I was freezing doing it. And I sit there and I look.
Did you get the hail?
No.
We got the hail.
Yeah, no hail,
in
thankfully.
Southeast.
Yeah, see, you guys, the Woodstock neighborhood getting some hail, man.
Yeah.
Didn't make it down there, but just like, rain for most of the day. And, I, as a kid, and I've told you this, Justin, I understand complaining, like it's not right to complain and ask for sun in Oregon in February. I get that. Even January, I get that. December, I get it. But as we get through March, and then you hear this stupid cliche forever, April showers bring May flowers. Okay, well,
I feel like you heard that maybe once too often.
Yeah, and it's like
that was a lot of snark behind that voice you just did there, which I appreciate the snark.
Because Justin, my birthday was never nice.
Never nice.
Never.
So. My birthday was always Labor Day weekend.
That's
beautiful
nice. That's
every
clutch.
time.
That's clutch, my friend. But no, yeah, the weather's starting to get to me a little bit. Need to usually when I get a little over the top, need to find some sun, maybe go tanning.
Okay, question for you.
Maybe go to the gym.
Let me ask you a birthday question.
I've been on the gym more recently. We've still stayed on that since we talked last. I include.
Do you still then go to like have pizza or something afterwards, and or wings to
my reward is tanning.
Okay.
So I go in a tanning bed for like 2-3 minutes. I know it's not good, but it makes me happy.
It's just a couple of minutes to
It
get a
makes
little,
me happy. It helps.
All right, let me ask you this about your birthday, because I hear what you're saying. See, my birthday was great because my birthday was always the first week of school. Always the first week of school. So, like, in elementary school, there is nothing better than your birthday at school, in elementary school. First, second, third grade, maybe even fourth grade. Nothing better than your birthday. Mrs. Taylor's class on your birthday, you know what you got to do? You got to sit wherever you wanted. Did you guys have assigned desks?
Yeah.
So we had assigned desks in alphabetical order. Sat next to April Mullins my entire career because Mullins, Myers was right after. Shout out to April Mullins.
Yeah, usually sat
friend.
next. Usually sat next to anybody with an S, man.
So you're in alphabetical order. Even though in elementary school you don't ever really comprehend last names, you only know people by their first names.
It's true, actually.
But like, it was funny because like my dad was a coach, so I was called Myers because like that's what Coach Myers, and there's Myers, and like I had friends that are like, who is that? I'm like, it's me. Anyways.
That's funny.
In first grade, Mrs. Taylor, shout out to Penny Taylor, first grade teacher, she would let you, you got to sit anywhere you wanted. You were VIP for the day. You had to sit wherever you wanted.
Yeah, that's pretty
on
cool.
your birthday.
I just remember it was.
I believe you got to pick the reading because we would get story time in first grade. You got to pick the reading. Like that is power. And then you got to be first in line. Because, again, it used to be alphabetical. But you got to be first in line for lunch. So you got to go first. And then, and sometimes you would get treats. Like your parents would bring treats. You have to bring them for everybody, though.
Yeah, that was.
Got to bring them for everybody.
I was going to say,
cupcakes.
after fifth grade, it's not cool to have your parents bring you stuff.
No,
so it's like you have to. You got to be in that. Because I remember very specifically when Mom showed up to Middleton Elementary, Justin.
Dude.
She had the double bag of the cupcakes. And, man, I was the most popular kid in class that day.
And so you got to pick the reading, and all this. It's the best. It is the best having your birthday in elementary school. Now, your birthday is in the tough weather time.
It is.
But the good weather time is in the summer. You remember those suckers that had their birthday in June, and you never got you never got to sit wherever you wanted in Mrs. Taylor's class. B, pre-internet, this is. You want to talk about some Gen X trauma, and it's not for me, but it's the kids that had summer birthdays. Unless I was on your baseball team, we left school, last day of school. I will see you in September. Like, we didn't talk.
Yeah, it's
nobody had cell phones. Nobody had each other's phone
true.
numbers. Like, you went away. You're not going to anybody's birthday party in July. What is that?
Yeah, it's true. And to that
So
point,
would you rather have April with the bad weather?
Yeah.
Knowing that you still get your king for a day, or summer birthday, but now you grew up in a time of the internet and some social media and play dates and stuff, and your parents could probably organize your birthday, like Evites and stuff.
Yeah,
unless you lived around the block, you weren't coming to a summer birthday party in the summer.
Yeah, oddly enough, Justin, my parents were something of a routine. So I was March, my sister was April, within a month of each other, and then both my brothers are end of July, end of August. So, split in half. And,
End of July birthday in elementary school had to be the worst.
Yeah.
Now, again, maybe not in the newer internet times but even still, sorry, we're camping that week.
Yeah, I'll say this. It was always there were more cool things that could be done. I remember we had a birthday party for one of my brothers while we were camping, and we were had
that sounds terrible.
Big old trailer set up and everything. There was another birthday for his. I can remember going to the pizza place in Newburgh, and it was so hot we were dying to get inside a couple years ago. So yeah, Justin, I think I'd take a summer birthday. I'm not gonna lie, but can't change birthday. Can change everything else these days. Can't change birthday.
But those 5 years in elementary school, man.
Yeah, they're tough. They would be tough. Dude,
your birthday in the middle of school, it was such a they probably don't do it anymore because you can't put one we got the it was VIP that you got to wear the VIP sticker.
Yeah,
you were in charge.
Yeah.
Or at least you thought you were in charge. And any bit of responsibility when you're 7 goes right to your head.
Same with elementary school. Do you remember when you used to do the Valentines at the end of the desks?
Yeah.
And then it's you get to middle school, oh yeah, that's done.
That's done. Well, in middle school, we
have multiple classes.
In middle school, we had the Valentines you buy someone a flower, and I
don't think that was an option.
And it was a fundraiser, and so you would buy someone a flower, and that's how you asked them to the Valentine's dance. So
kind of like that.
It's not as fun as it sounds. It sounds good in theory. It's full of rejection and heartbreak.
Yeah,
because it's middle school and it's just terrible.
Yeah, I just remember even now, all these years later, being able to be oh yeah, you get past then Valentine's Day, then everyone's really awkward about boys like girls and vice versa. And I'll never forget, Justin, there was the one token couple who was together 6th, 7th, 8th grade. First day of high school, they broke up. And it was and it was just you guys were holding hands in 6th grade down the hallway.
Yeah.
I can still vividly remember it.
High school comes around,
and you guys
somebody hit a growth spurt.
Yeah.
Somebody got their braces off. They recognized that there are juniors at this school. It
was that was the couple, and it was oh yeah, that couple broke up.
Good night now.
So funny how middle school love works.
All right, let's get to make or miss.
All right, Justin. Starting here, Kevin Durant is the unnamed source in Phoenix.
I don't know if it's Kevin Durant, but I'd be willing to bet it's somebody in Kevin Durant's camp.
Wouldn't be the first time he did that, though.
Yeah, exactly. Because didn't he kind of throw everybody in the nets under the bus?
He did. I'm going to read you the quote so we can all have the context.
Yeah, let's
here.
have some context. Things are not going well in Phoenix. Let's just say that. Which I was kind of
I was all in on Ishbia.
I was duped as well.
Yeah.
Not real part of it on Ishbia, but part of it on Yeah, he's spending money. He's aggressive. And like there were a lot of smart people who were like, yeah, but that second apron. And I'm like, yeah, but the first apron's pretty good. And they're like, yeah, but they're not going to have any backups. They're not going to be able to use exceptions and bring in quality players. They're going to fall off a cliff. And also Bradley Beal was just a bad move.
I don't know. Like
Bradley Beal was a terrible signing for what they paid Bradley Beal to put them into the second apron so that they could not have any semblance of depth on that team for what Bradley Beal did this year.
That reason I don't hate
terrible signing.
I don't hate Bradley Beal by himself. And that's where it's like I hate that you were like to your point, you killed your depth to get there. Right? Your depth was Nasir Little. No disrespect, but we all know what that show is.
Mm-hmm.
And
and Drew Eubanks.
It's true. I do see now.
Well, I like Drew, but
I like Drew. I'm like,
I
don't like
Drew.
Nasir. But
I don't this is
like
the weird thing of criticizing NBA players. I said this about Myers Leonard before he went on Twitch.
Yeah.
Do you know how good you have to be just to be on an NBA roster? You know how good you have to be at basketball. You are so unbelievable.
Yeah.
Drew Eubanks, compared to the world,
it's insane.
is so insanely good at basketball.
Totally.
But in this sense, he's like, yeah, he stinks. But no, he doesn't stink. It just not good enough to replace the depth that you lost when you shipped DeAndre Ayton out of town and replaced him with Yusuf Nurkic, who still misses lay-ins. Year 11 of his career.
So yeah, when I look at that, like in Justin, we love this word, but it applies here. In the aggregate, it's like, yes, a team with Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker, that's exciting. That's
exciting.
That's, we want to...
That's selling tickets.
Right. We talked yesterday with Bill
That's
Warren.
getting viewers.
Why is the viewership for the Suns going up? That's a part of it, too, because Justin, if those three guys were on the Blazers, who wouldn't miss a game? Right?
I'm there.
So
yeah,
that part is a part of it. Now, the rules are changing, like you said, it's going to be really hard to figure out how to have these multiple stars. And I think you're going to have that's what the NBA wanted. They didn't want you to be like the Warriors and say, those are our three big three. We're keeping them locked in for 15 years and you're never touching them.
I do think it's a good thing that what the NBA did, which again, like I criticize Adam Silver because I do think the load management and the players not playing is a problem in your league. But I do think it was a good thing. It's like, no, you can have multiple superstars. It's just you're going to have to pay for it in the lack of depth. You don't get to have like that was the thing with the Warriors that was unfair. Yeah, they had Steph and they had Clay and they had Draymond, but they also had like
Durant.
When Durant came in, they also had a handful of guys that could come off the bench. Didn't they have Iguodala too?
The first Warriors team, the one that broke through when Steph Curry wasn't making money. You're talking Leandro Barbosa. You're talking Maurice Spates. You're talking Iguodala.
Not all stars, but guys who could come in and knock down shots, and it clearly wasn't a fall off.
This guy named Festus Ezeli. We tried that.
And then you bring Durant in, and you got to keep all those guys. Well, now it's like if you're going to bring in the superstars, and now those guys go away. And I think that's a good move. And you saw that with the Suns.
But yeah, so here's the quote from a unnamed source.
I love this.
I
love basketball drama the best.
It's just actually called The Sun Source. So I kind of like this. It's kind of like Looney Tunes around here. It's felt unstable since Ishbia's arrived. He's a good guy and everything, I think, but he's just very involved. Too involved. I know he played college basketball at Michigan State, but I'd venture to say he has no idea what he's doing when it comes to basketball, yet he's making a lot of the big decisions.
So here's the thing with the Suns, right? And it's easy to sit back. We did this with Jerry Jones for years and years and years, and we're going to do it with Ishbia now and James Dolan, who I made fun of last segment.
His team's finally winning.
His team is finally winning.
Only took 30 years.
Now, James Dolan's a little bit different because I think he's a Nepo baby, right? I think
because his dad started the cable network in New York.
Inherited it. Yeah. He's a Nepo baby. I'm pretty sure Ishbia is a self-made billionaire. Who's the guy that owns the Jazz? He's from Eugene.
Oh, yeah, hold on.
But he's like he made Quantex or something.
Qualtrics.
I was
Ryan
so
Smith.
close.
Ryan Smith, yes.
Ryan Smith. Shout out Eugene. He's a 541 guy.
That's like I think
football players and billionaires. This is what we do in the 541. You know what I mean?
Qualtrics is like surveys and things like that. So
I don't know. It sounds like a multi-billion-dollar company, but these guys they make these billions of dollars, right? And they get to a point where they're like, I want to buy a team. And your entire life, it is you outworking everybody, grinding, taking calculated gambles, right? Because nobody builds a $1 billion business without at one point rolling the dice or something, right? Then you own a team and you're just supposed to not make decisions? Like, I don't think so. Which has got to be the biggest mess with your mind thing. I had another word in mind, but I can't say that word. But you know what I mean? It's got to mess with your head so much. Like Mark Cuban had to figure this one out too. For years and years and years, Mark Cuban was just too involved. Because he made billions of dollars being involved. I make the decisions. The buck stops right here. And now you have to buy a team and go, VP of basketball operations?
That's funny,
in charge?
Justin.
Like, no. I am in charge.
Are you born on, I'm just curious, are you born on third base or born on home plate when your dad founded basically cable TV in New York and HBO? He founded HBO. So you born on third base, you born on home plate at that
You're
point?
born on third base with a really healthy lead. Your lead is yeah.
That's crazy. James Dolan's dad's still alive at 98. So, yeah, the OG of HBO, Justin. Like,
got that billionaire, that blood transfusion stuff.
I mean, just think about where that's kind of nuts to think that, like, HBO was started by the guy who founded the Knicks, basically. Or not found, but, like,
So James Dolan's a Nepo baby, but I do understand how these billionaires, right? They come in, they're fairly young. HBO is fairly young, right?
Well, and how about
He's
this?
ambitious. He wants to, and it's like,
And
let's come in, let's make a splash, let's get people in the building, and it's like, it turns out you don't know what you're doing.
What are they? We'll close on this, Justin.
Yeah.
What are they teaching up in? And you know, this is going to come off kind of snarky, and I want it to be. What are they teaching up there in East Lansing? Because I have some criticisms on East Lansing for obvious reasons, but yet Matt Ishbia, who owns one of the largest mortgage companies in the world, is an alum. Then Dan Gilbert, who owns the Cavs and another largest mortgage.
That's Rocket Mortgage or Quicken Loans? Or Quicken Loans became Rocket Mortgage.
Yeah, so what are they teaching up there at Michigan State that makes you a gazillionaire?
That everybody has to buy houses, and it's
just saying. Just
until
saying,
you get in at the right time where there's not a bubble, it might be pretty lucrative business to be in the spot of loaning people money. And
still is.
Yeah, still is. All right. Fantastic Make or Miss. We got Get Off My Lawn coming up in a bit. But before we get to that, speaking of real estate, speaking of homes, how's your house doing? How's your roof doing? How's your siding? How's your energy bills? Might be time to contact DeBella. Why? Because DeBella's Oregon's roofing, siding, windows, and bath experts. And with thinking about unexpected expenses, maybe thinking about your budget throughout this cold snap that we are in, and you might be like, man, I keep paying more and more for this energy bill, paying more and more for this heat. What is going on? Well, might be some inefficiency with your roofing, with your windows, maybe even inefficiency with your current bathroom. Upgrade all of them. Take advantage of all the savings to your energy bills. Maybe even potentially pay for a brand new roof by going with solar and get some state and federal incentives. DeBella's got all the details. Contact them today and get yourself a free, convenient estimate scheduled on a time that works for you. They've been featured in Better Homes and Garden, HGTV, 15,000 plus 5-star reviews on Google. That number keeps growing each and every day. Award-winning customer service with award-winning service. And now is the perfect time to connect with DeBella. I read that service thing twice. That one's on me. How about no payments until 2025 on approved credit? How about we do that to make up for me reading the same line in the copy twice while you're saving money on your energy bill? So contact DeBella today for a free, no-obligation appointment for roofing, windows, siding, and bath projects. The Oregon experts are DeBella. All right, coming up in hour number 3 in just a handful of minutes, Devon Pouncey, friend of the program, is going to join us. Going to talk a lot of hoops. Little teaser. A couple of years ago, I know it was a couple of years ago because I'm pretty sure it was still in the COVID times. I was on Devon's podcast, the Wake Up and Win podcast. It's a very good podcast. You should subscribe to it and listen to the Wake Up and Win podcast. And we were talking about players in the NBA and, kind of projecting and looking ahead. And he was like, Anthony Edwards is going to be the guy. I said, you watch. You mark my words. Anthony Edwards, this guy is going to be a top-level player in the NBA. And we haven't seen the end of the first round yet, but Jamal Murray's making a case for MVP of the first round, but Anthony Edwards might be the MVP of the first round. I know we don't give away that award, but in terms of like players, Brenden, who have upped their value in the last 2 weeks, I don't know if anybody's upped their value more than Anthony Edwards. Because non-basketball fans are starting to learn about who this dude is. Like, I've known who he was, but non-basketball fans are like, well, this guy dunks like Jordan. So I want to talk to Pounce about that. He called it years ago. Years ago, he called it.
And I remember, it's so funny how that works, because when he was drafted, there was obviously consensus he was going to be a number one, but there was like oh, yeah, that guy from Georgia, they weren't very good.
They were like 13th in the SEC.
Yeah.
They were second to last in the SEC.
We should have known that a guy who was, 17, 18 years old, averaging, 19, 5, and I don't know, 19, 5, and 2. I mean, you'd think that would be a year that you'd be really excited about. But,
yeah.
I mean, you're right, Justin. He's playing on a different level. I think he, not to make it too, what do you call it? Countryist, but I think he's going to be the face of America as far as, like,
Darn right.
basketball, right?
By the way,
like America. Know
we'll
what I
see
mean?
what happens. I don't think the Bucks are going to win. Giannis out. Embiid on the brink. He might
maybe
be out.
traded him per Justin.
I think there's a breakup coming. More on that coming up as well. I know Jokic is still the best player in the world. He's going to be around for a while. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is Canadian. But, I mean, we kind of, like, adopted Canadian players. Like, they're not Euros. So, like, Jamal Murray, Anthony Edwards. Hey, Jason Tatum, America's doing great. Brenden, America's doing great. Boy, if the Clippers could take out the Mavs and get Luka out of there, America's going to really have a great first round. All right, so we got to dive into that coming up in hour number 3. But it is Tuesday. It's cloudy. It is cold. It is rainy. And we are grumpy on this show, and we're going to lean into it. A little segment we like to call Get Off My Lawn. All right, this one is a classic. It's an oldie but a goodie, but I feel like necessary to bring it back. I want NBA teams to wear white jerseys at home. I'm watching multiple games here. And I'm watching Oklahoma City and New Orleans play last night, and both, like, Oklahoma City is wearing their blue jerseys. New Orleans is wearing black with neon green, not even their own. Now, listen, I understand the irony of Oregon fan here talking about, can't we just have classic uniforms? Understood. I get it. I don't like all the other uniforms either, but I have to pretend because I'm an Oregon fan. It's part of our deal. But that being said, I am so sick and tired of not knowing which team is on the court. I get it. It's a business. Nike's trying to sell uniforms. The kids like the new uniforms. They got very low attention spans, and the more uniforms you pump out, the more uniforms people are going to buy, and everybody wants their own unique uniform. I get it. But that is an oxymoron. Unique uniform. A uniform is supposed to have uniformity. It's supposed to all be the same. Can we just get back to wearing white jerseys at home? One set of road jerseys, and then maybe a third alternate. That's it. That's all. That's all we needed back in 1996, all right? And we didn't need 47 different combos. And I knew when the Bulls were playing the Knicks, I knew if they were in Chicago or if they were in New York. I'm watching the highlights of the Nuggets and the Lakers last night. Nuggets are wearing dark blue at home. Put on the white jerseys at home. Put on the dark jerseys on the road. And that way we know. Now, again, a simple Google search and just be like, where are they playing tonight? Or maybe just looking at the court. But the court has so much stuff on it now, I can't even tell either. But this is my grumpy old man take. That the uniforms have gotten out of hand. Now, I realize you can't put that peanut butter back in the jar, right? You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. You can't unspread the peanut butter. You can't put the peanut butter back in the jar either. I've tried. And we're never going back. But you know what? Maybe just one series. Just one series. Two teams get together and they agree. We shall wear white uniforms at home, dark uniforms on the road, and we're going to keep our own team, our actual team colors and our team logo. And maybe if we lose a couple games, we need to throw in something. We'll throw in a third alternate. But I'm so tired of not knowing who is playing where. The New Orleans uniforms last night were atrocious. Did you see those? Did you watch any of that game? Like, they were so bad.
You know me, Justin. I'm more of a uniform guy, but I don't have a problem with your take here. I think it's. That's how I grew up, right? If you were the Blazers, they wore white at home, then they wore black or red on the road.
That was it. It's all we need.
And
it's all we need.
You know, there wasn't. I think the NBA got a little over out of its skis, where now you can go on and in November be like, I can see what the Blazers are going to wear game 82. That used to never be like decided beforehand. You know what I mean? I always thought growing up, it's like, oh, what uniforms LaMarcus Aldridge want to wear tonight? All right, that's who the Blazers are going to wear. Like, I always thought like this. Then it got to be too corporate, Justin.
I'm watching NBA highlights right now. Phoenix is wearing black uniforms at home. Like, either go like football to where everybody gets the black or the dark uniforms at home, and then you wear the light colored or the white uniforms on the road, but make it one or the other. I think there was a game once. I think it might have been like regular season, but like Oklahoma City, Atlanta, and like blue and red. And I'm like, I can't tell which is which. I can't tell. So, and also, I know I say this all the time. These coaches have got to get these quarter zips off. They just
Can we go back to suits?
I mean, I'm willing to compromise. I loved the suits. I could understand where it didn't make a lot of sense. You know what? Baseball managers still wear uniforms, okay?
Justin, it would not
that makes even less sense. But can we just do like your niece is getting married? You don't got to wear a tie, but you know what? Maybe just a jacket over the top of a nice shirt.
Oh yeah.
But the quarter zips. Goodness gracious.
Well, the fact that like Doc Rivers, Justin, can wear what I'm wearing right now.
Yeah.
A quarter zip. Like not Pac-12 logo, obviously. That's doesn't around anymore.
That's a collector's item.
But you know what I mean? Like my quarter, like, I'm sorry, an NBA coach should have to dress a little nicer.
It's the playoffs, for crying out loud. Can we at least just put on a jacket or something? You don't have to. You can wear a suit jacket and a button up. You don't have to wear a tie. Don't even have to wear a tie. And you can wear comfortable shoes as far as you want to wear khakis with comfortable. That's fine. But this quarter zip nonsense.
The bubble made it happen, man.
Oh, my goodness gracious. This quarter zip
no coach
nonsense.
wanted to pack suits to the bubble, Justin.
Give me the uniformity that I like watching on TV. Put a suit jacket on. Won't you? All right. Devon Pouncey joins the show. Hour number 3 next, 620 Rip City Radio. It is 8 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Justin Myers with you. NBA playoffs last night saw the Oklahoma City Thunder bust out the brooms and sweep the Pelicans with a 97-89 victory. Oklahoma City moves on to the next round. The Celtics push the Heat to the brink of elimination. 102-88 down in Miami. They're up 3-1. And the Nuggets finish off the Lakers. The gentleman's sweep of 4-1. 108-106. Jamal Murray, another game winner. 3 games on tap tonight: Sixers, Knicks, Magic, Cavs, and the Pacers and the Bucks. In NFL news, the Chiefs give Travis Kelce a 2-year, $34.25 million extension, making him the highest-paid tight end in NFL history. Hour number 3, tons of hoops with our good friend Devon Pouncey, who joins us live in studio right now on 620 Rip City Radio. Hey, welcome back to Rip City Mornings, everybody. Very excited. Welcome back to the show. In studio, our good friend Devon Pouncey. Pounce, how we doing, bud?
Doing well. Got to turn on the microphone first, right? Doing well. How about you, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic. I got a lot of stuff I want to talk to you about. Yeah. It's starting to heat up again in the NBA playoffs.
I love it.
Drama is also starting to heat up as well. We're going to play a game in about 20 minutes. It's, I don't know what the opposite of the dating game is, but it's essentially, are there breakups looming in the NBA? Because I think there are. I think there are some breakups that are looming, but there seems to be, I think, kind of a theme that is going on, which we have touched on before in this first round, which is kind of a changing of the guard.
Yes.
In this league, right? For years and years and years, the league was run by LeBron, Steph, and KD.
Facts.
They ran the league. Well, Steph never made it out of the play-in.
Nope.
LeBron and KD are now eliminated. One swept, the other
gentleman swept.
Should have been swept. And you look at the fact that Anthony Edwards did the sweeping.
Yes.
You look at the fact that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Oklahoma City just swept New Orleans, and you look at the fact that the Nuggets with Jokic, but also with Jamal Murray playing back to almost bubble Jamal Murray, like. There are young stars, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Dallas and the Clippers in that series. I feel like that one's on its way to 7 games.
That might go the distance, for sure.
But you are seeing LeBron, Steph, and KD being replaced right now in front of our eyes, which, I mean, it's good for the league, right? You get established superstars. Those superstars run the league. Then you get kind of the changing of the guards, and we've seen it from Magic and Larry to Jordan to then Kobe and Shaq and then LeBron and so it's been going on in this league for a long, long time, and we are now in I think a fascinating time in the league where I don't know if Steph ever gets back to championship level. I don't know if Kevin Durant ever gets back to championship level. LeBron is a big mystery in what he's ultimately going to do, and he's playing into it, which is good for him.
I like it,
but. You know, I do think we are seeing father time, a new era coming in.
Yeah.
We talked about like the European influence, but also, you know, there's a lot of still very good young American players that are making their presence felt in this first round, in this postseason.
Yeah, it's definitely a new day. And I was one of those people that was maybe just kind of holding on to my era quite a bit too much. Like my way too early predictions. Oh, the Phoenix Suns are going to win the championship. And then also as the season progressed and you started to see sort of the race in the Western Conference, which was like a gauntlet, and you see OKC near the top. You see Minnesota near the top. You see Denver, who obviously is still pretty young, relatively near the top. And then you look at the bottom and the teams fighting for play-in action. You had the Lakers with LeBron. You had the Suns with Durant. You had Steph and the Warriors and all of these guys. And I'm looking and I'm like, wait a minute. The bottom half of the Western Conference might be better than the top half because I'm holding on to this generation of guys that I'm accustomed to seeing go on deep playoff runs and win championships ultimately. And then we got a legitimate dose of reality, and I guess we got let known that 82 games is enough of a sample size to show who actually is the real in this league. And obviously, you know, in the case of the Western Conference in particular, OKC handled business. Minnesota handled business. Denver handled business. And then, of course, you got a good 4 or 5 matchup going on with the Mavs and the Clippers. But the young teams have prevailed, and they did it quite easily. I mean, between those 3 teams, you got 1 loss. The top 3 seats in the Western Conference.
And I can see why some people might go to where you went, because you look at last year, right? The Heat got in as an 8 seed, made a run to the finals.
For sure.
Last year, the Lakers get in. They were an 8 seed last year, I think.
They were
an 8
pretty
seed
low.
or 7?
7, I think.
They made a run to the Western Conference
the Western
Finals.
Conference Finals,
Got swept, but they were still in the Western Conference Finals, and so it was still kind of that old narrative of, hey, just get in. Right? Just get. Well, that's not this year.
It's not this year.
This
It's a new
year,
day.
you mentioned it. It is the 82 games. Boy, it really showed exactly kind of what some of the deficiencies were on some of the teams that we just talked about.
Yes.
And kind of this new youthful energy, which we got to talk about. I mentioned it right before you came on the show. I want to say it was 3 years ago. It might have been more. You and I did your podcast where I was on Wake Up and Win.
Yes, sir.
Was it Live in the Dream Studios?
Yes, it was.
It was where I came.
Yeah, that's where you came.
We did the podcast.
Over there in the Pearl.
It was nice. It was very close to my apartment.
Yes, it was. right down the street.
3 blocks? Done. I'll be there in a minute. But we were kind of talking about this thing about, you know, looking ahead in the league and what's going on with this league. And you were like, Anthony Edwards is the guy.
He's the one.
And I was like, I don't know if I see that one. And you were like, nope. Trust me.
He's the one.
This is a guy. He's going to be a big-time player. He's going to be a superstar in this league. And you look at kind of what has happened in the last 3, 4, 5 years. Because, again, he was the number 1 pick, but he was on a very bad Georgia team.
Yeah.
And so kind of came out of nowhere because we don't pay attention to college basketball until the tournament comes around. And they were not a tournament team.
No.
But he gets drafted and kind of goes to what at the time was basketball purgatory, which was Minnesota.
Yeah.
Right? Guys went to Minnesota, and you're just like, kind of forget about him up there.
For sure.
And all of a sudden, then a couple of years ago, they won the play-in with Pat Beverly, and all of a sudden, and then now, boom, they sweep Phoenix.
He's getting MJ comparisons.
He's getting Michael Jordan comparisons, and they're not insane.
Yeah.
Now, I am a Michael Jordan defender, right? I am a whole – we've seen some people holding the line lately on the news. Michael Jordan, I am holding the line.
Yeah.
I will defend – they're not crazy comparisons.
It's not crazy comparisons.
They're not crazy.
That dude is nasty.
Now, there's obviously different levels, but when you look physically, like the way he plays and gets up in the air and –
the gift is there.
It's unbelievable. And then, and I'll let you kind of dive deeper into this. You mentioned it last summer. You said getting away from Minnesota, going to play for Team USA, playing for Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr going like, you need to work harder. If you do, you're going to be the best player in this league.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's the best player in the league, but it's hard to argue anybody raised their value in the last 2 to 3 weeks more than Anthony Edwards did.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, all the way around, obviously on the floor, like you said, getting the MJ comparisons and the talent and the gift definitely looks to be there. Off the floor, I mean, you know, I talked to my phone. I tried to go cop me a pair of some AE1s after in these last couple of weeks, and they're flying off the shelves over there at Adidas. They say online, once they release, you got 20 minutes to go get them. If not, sold out. And I just think all the way around that he was a guy, and I think at the time when we talked about it, I actually compared him to like a Marshawn Lynch. I think coming into the league, like, he's not the most politically correct guy, for lack of a better term. And Marshawn obviously wasn't considered that as well. But some of those guys just have a certain mentality, and all they need is like a little bit of motivation. And then they almost have like this kill switch. And you heard Anthony Edwards say the other day, like, I'm trying to kill everybody in front of me. We've heard the Marshawn Lynch interviews where you hit a you-know-what in the face over and over and over again. And I just felt like, you know, some of what we got to know about Anthony Edwards coming into the league, not really caring, acting almost too nonchalant about caring about being in the NBA. But I think the motivation factor was all that he needed. And now that he's gotten that from a bunch of different ways. Obviously, you mentioned Steve Kerr. I think there's other ways that he's gotten that as well. I think just flat out getting a taste, like you said, winning the play-in with Pat Bev and then taking some losses in the playoffs, like that'll get you revved up to want to go out there and actually win once you get in it. And now here he is looking like the face of the NBA. And to me, it comes as no surprise because, again, the gift was always there.
Yeah.
I just think he needed a little bit of added and extra motivation to go and get it. And sometimes guys that are as gifted as he is needs that motivation. And now that he's gotten it, oh boy.
We talked about it also earlier about what's going to happen with American basketball, right? Because there was a European invasion, and you see the best players, whether it's Embiid, Giannis, Jokic, Luka, right? Clearly there is a European trend going on in the NBA. But then now I look at the first round, and now injuries are playing a bit of a factor, but Embiid's about ready to be bounced.
Yeah.
Giannis is about ready to be bounced.
For sure.
Luka might go to Game 7. Who knows? And you look at who are the guys that are playing extraordinarily well. Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray hit 2 game winners.
For sure.
2 game winners. Now, Jokic is still the guy, and clearly he is making his presence felt, but you've got Jamal Murray there. You got Jalen Brunson with the Knicks.
Yeah, killing.
Playing really. Jason Tatum, who is he's not an extrovert, but he's still, in terms of American-born players, he's still pretty good. And they got their little scare and then fixed it
quick.
And then Paul George reminding everybody, I'm still really good at basketball.
Yeah, man.
James Harden, I can get buckets whenever I get. So I understand where there was a lot of talk of, boy, is European players going to start taking over the NBA? This first round, the American-born players, and I'm adopting Gilgeous Alexander.
Yeah.
He's Canadian.
He's
Canadian.
North American. American.
We're going to adopt him. But it is interesting. There was, I don't want to say a worry, but it's like, are all the great players going to be Euros? Like,
I mean, I think there was a worry. I think there's a worry because there's just flat out a sense of pride that we have in America when it comes to being the best at the sport of basketball.
Darn right.
And in the greatest league that the world has to offer with the NBA, and we're seeing this huge influx of players being drafted into the NBA and then ultimately thriving in the NBA, I do think that there's somewhat of an element. And then you consider, taking it down a level, you consider men's college basketball in particular. And we talked about sort of kind of the light that has kind of gone away from men's college basketball, which was part of the reason I thought it was a huge deal that, the NBA G League in particular went away with the Ignite. And I think that will help amplify men's college basketball a little bit more. You bring more star power to the game. They now have NIL. Guys can get paid in different ways. Yeah. But I think ultimately, there was a worry and that there is a sense of pride that we should be able to admit to based on just our sheer dominance over time within the sport. And now we are watching the rest of the world catch up. And while I think that's great for the game, globally, I do think that you still want to figure out a way here in America to stay the class of the sport. And right now, guys are trying to do just that. And then, of course, you got this summer coming up, Paris 2024, where, we get a chance to kind of try to, elevate that legacy a little bit more.
All right, coming up next, I want to play a game. I got some situations where I see maybe potential rocky relationships. Is there a breakup? Is there a breakup coming up? Is it breakup season yet in the NBA? We'll talk about that next with Devon Pouncey here on 620 Rip City Radio. Devon Pouncey joining us for the entire third hour live in studio. And Devon, I've talked about this a bunch of times with the NBA. The NBA is it is a league run by feelings. Feelings and emotion probably garner as much change as financial decisions do. Certain players don't get along. They request trades. They get out. Kyrie Irving. I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling the love. Get me out of here. James Harden, Ben Simmons, Kevin Durant, right? Jimmy Butler a handful of times, right? If you aren't feeling it or some sort of conflict, it is a league that is run by feelings, and it makes it fascinating, makes it interesting.
A little bit of a soap opera feel. Huh?
It brings a lot of drama, which is good for my business.
That's right.
Good for your business.
For sure.
But I thought we would have some fun because much like in high school, when you graduate high school and before you go off to college, right, there's that breakup season.
Yeah.
It's like nobody wants to go to college with a girlfriend, right?
Right.
And so they have a breakup season. The NBA, Brenden talked about it, right? Your girlfriend in 8th grade and you're going into high school? It's like, we're going to have we should just be friends,
Right.
okay? Right? It happens. So in the NBA, when you start seeing first-round exits, both with coaches and with star players, breakups are going to happen.
For sure.
So I'm going to throw out some scenarios.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about whether or not there's a breakup coming or they're going to be able to stay together. I mentioned this, I think, yesterday on the show. Embiid and the Sixers. I see a breakup coming. I see a breakup. Fans getting called out. The fact that I think
they deserve it.
I think Philadelphia, regardless if they did or didn't, I don't know if Philly fans.
I mean, you hear. I've never been, but I mean, you hear like the allure around Philly fans and like how hard they are on players and how critical they tend to be. Well, they should be able to take what they dish out quite a bit. And quite frankly, it sounds like the Madison Square Garden out there in Philadelphia. Yeah. So if you're going to dish it out to these players and be all critical and hard, you should be able to take the fact that you are getting outperformed by the opposing team's fan base during the playoffs. That's what's happening.
So if you're Embiid and you're looking around going like, all right, Ben Simmons didn't work. James Harden didn't work. Maxey didn't work. Now, who knows if it didn't work because of injuries and all. Doc Rivers didn't work. Right? Just all these things. And, like, one, I'm wondering what Joel Embiid thinks. And two, I wonder if the Sixers look around and be like, hey, Embiid, we got you Ben Simmons. You didn't like that.
Yeah.
We got you James Harden in a pretty legit that didn't work out. We fired Doc Rivers. That didn't seem to work. Maybe then everybody else isn't the problem. So I'm wondering, with the way it ended, Embiid's an emotional guy.
Yeah.
Right? He speaks his mind.
For sure.
He's going to get out on Twitter at some point. I think a breakup's coming. Or you think the Sixers and Embiid stay together?
I think they stay together, and I really think they stay together ultimately because you still always have the out of Embiid's health. And Embiid has clearly been playing on a 1.5 legs out there in this series. And and then you consider like the NBA rules and all of that. And that was a big, topic of discussion in terms of Embiid coming back too soon from an injury to try to win an MVP because he was on track to do just that, prior to getting hurt. But I think that they still stick together for a little while longer. And I think it's solely because you still have the out of saying, well, Embiid, regardless of who we brought here and who we haven't brought here, you're not always available to us, buddy. And so, that matters just as much as anybody else that you want to kind of cast blame on, because through all of that, Embiid has still been the best player. And with him being unhealthy, they really never stand a chance.
All right, Brenden?
Yeah, just a quick little addition onto that. And one thing that's unique to Philly is, Tyrese Maxey obviously still being as young as he is. What is he, 23, 24, something like that?
Yeah. Got a bright future ahead.
Yeah, and I think his ceiling is still growing. And the interesting thing with the Sixers, I'm not sure exactly who the marquee free agents are, but they have the ability to open up a max slot beside Embiid and Maxey. So it's like you can offer whoever may come around money. With Devon, I'm kind of would be surprised if Embiid left, but this is a feelings league, man.
That's what I'm saying.
And feelings get hurt, and, I'm like, how many teams has James Harden been on in the last 2 years, right? I mean, guys can move around quite a bit, and I think that like
By the way, I forgot about with the not sorry to cut you off, but I forgot about also. Remember Jimmy Butler played for the 76ers too?
Yes,
they
he
deci-
did.
they
We forgot
decided
about that. It's
they
like,
decided-
we gave you Jimmy Butler, we gave you Ben Simmons, we gave you James Harden.
gave
We
him a lot.
fired.
Yeah, Devon, how
How did that not work?
actually for both of you guys, how could the basketball people, and this is why, I think Daryl Morey was probably brought in, how could the basketball people look at Tobias Harris and look at Jimmy Butler and go, yeah, we want Tobias Harris?
Yeah,
Just
it's a little
that's the
wild.
decision they made.
I know.
So,
It's a little-
it's so
to-
bad.
to be fair, Tobias was playing pretty good in L.A. when
had
he
his
was with the
moments.
Clippers.
Yeah.
And, he's a good athlete, got some size, but, yeah, he's never been better than Jimmy Butler. Never.
But yeah, no, that's tough.
So you took a guy. Where's Tobias Harris from? Is he from LA? Either way.
Good
so you took a
question.
guy from LA and the 3 W's, and you put him in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Tell me
he's a native New Yorker.
A native New
Yeah.
Yorker. All right, so maybe not quite on the theory of our James Harden theory, the 3W James Harden theory, which I love, which we learned about last week.
Yeah. California, baby. It's
There's
a
something
lifestyle.
about LA and they feel a little different. Anyways, all right. Next,
The recipe.
you throw in an M, which is a fourth wealth.
Yeah, 4W. Yeah,
There's
well,
a fourth W
it gets
in
tricky.
wealth. Now you're wealthy. www. All right, then now we're
www.california.com.
through the roof. All right. Kevin Durant, the Phoenix Suns. He
Yeah.
breaks up a lot. He
That-
breaks up
that
a
I-
lot.
That I think should happen.
Especially the story that came out yesterday that some unnamed source within the Sun said, "Hey, this owner, nice guy and all, but it's like Looney Tunes in here." I think wasn't that the exact quote? Brenden said it's like Looney Tunes.
They said
in here?
Looney Tunes, yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't really know what he's doing, but is far too hands. He's one of those guys that knows just enough about basketball
Yeah.
to think he knows about basketball and really doesn't.
Yeah.
And so Kevin Durant, I said I think Kevin Durant goes back to Oklahoma City. That's my call.
Woo.
Yeah. I think if Oklahoma City loses to the Nuggets, maybe in the Western Conference Finals, I think that's where they would meet up. Oklahoma City's got like 48 draft picks.
Yeah, they do.
Still.
Restock that Phoenix
Yeah.
cupboard that is
So if you're
so
Phoenix,
empty.
you're like, we are in cap hell.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant doesn't want to be here.
Right.
I would assume. I don't know. He can go back to Oklahoma City, be that missing link, play with Chet, Gilgeous-Alexander, make a run in the West, and then complete the journey.
Complete the journey.
Like, started here, I'm going to end here because I think
that
I
team would be nasty.
I
would
heard
be
this question.
cold.
Somebody said, like, if Kevin Durant were to retire today, which I don't think he is, but if he were, is his number hanging in any banner? Or is his number hanging in any arena?
Yeah, Golden State.
You think
They're not stored.
3
enough.
years?
I mean, 3 years, two finals
I know.
MVPs. Like you definitely gotta hang it up in Golden State. And prior to this recent dynasty,
Uh-huh.
if you will, like Golden State was like down, under. So I definitely think Golden State, you got to retire his jersey there.
so? This was my kind of a hot take. I think Kevin Durant ultimately ends up in Oklahoma City.
I like the take.
The crazy thing is with that, Justin, it's not like I just talked about it with Philly. Like Oklahoma City doesn't, because Shai Gilgeous is their only player who makes big money.
Mhm.
They literally have money to burn. They could just be like, hey, Durant, here's cash that we just have to burn. I
Yeah.
mean,
And
it's-
here's 4 draft picks
Yep.
that we're not going to use anyways.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, they're young enough. And Kevin Durant needs to play with younger guys. Okay, like the reality of it is he's past his peak and he is over the hill now. And the only way to go is kind of downwards. That doesn't mean he doesn't hold any value, of course, but I mean, he's not a guy. He's not your number one option to go out there and win a championship, which is what we considered him to be for majority of his career. He just ain't that no more.
Yeah.
So I think him attaching himself to a younger team, being able to help those guys grow, but also be able to assist them, when things start to fall apart a little bit, because all young teams go through that phase. I do think OKC, going back to OKC, is pretty match made. I'm not mad at that one.
So if you were to guess, though, you think
Yeah.
breakup?
Yeah,
Break
I
up
think,
or not? Or
I
stay
think
together?
breakup. I don't think KD wants to stay in Phoenix. I think Devin Booker is comfortable there.
Mhm.
That should be his thing. And I think it's been a little bit too much confusion because KD is KD on whether that should be Devin Booker's team or KD's team. I think it should stay Book's team. Figure it out around them. They got a G League team coming to Phoenix now.
Yeah.
As you said, get you some draft picks because you got none, and you clearly don't have a supporting cast either, which, I mean, was Dame's supporting cast here a year ago, and that didn't work out this season for the Phoenix Suns. So I would say yes. I think I lean more on KD leaving Phoenix than I do Embiid leaving the 76ers.
Do they trade Beal too?
If you trade Kevin Durant for a boatload of picks, that is – I don't know if it's a full rebuild or a soft rebuild around Booker, but Bradley Beal can't be a part of it, right?
Yeah,
I don't think it worked. I mean, I like him.
But I don't,
There's value.
I don't know how you get out of that, though.
Yeah, he also was just like hurt a lot throughout this season.
That's what happens when you get old.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
what happens when you sign
Old players, baby.
older
Exactly.
players
Yeah.
for lots of money, they get hurt a lot. All right,
For sure.
Did this turn out real quick? Sorry,
Yeah.
Justin. Did this turn out worse than when the Brooklyn Nets swung for the big three of the Celtics and they got an old KG, an old Paul Pierce, and help me out with was it Ron? No, not Ron. Who was the third piece that went over there with them?
They had Joe Johnson. And was it Joe?
Yeah, I
Johnson.
thought maybe it was Joe, but
it was Joe Johnson.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, the old Nets are going to make this run.
Yeah,
And it turned out to be like the worst.
it was pretty bad.
Pretty close.
Look, they had to put butts in the seats at the Barclays Center, right? Jay-Z just built a whole big
Yeah,
True, he did
it's a
own-
fact.
It's like, hey, we got Kevin Garnett now. Come watch the games. Get on the train to Brooklyn. All right, let's get to the fun one. LeBron James and the Lakers.
I think he stays.
You think he stays?
Yeah, ain't no point in leaving. Ain't no point in chasing championships if you're LeBron James. You broke every record that can be broken. You know, you got 4 rings to go home with, and it's LA. You got your whole life set up in LA now, and the Lakers might be interested in signing Bronny.
Well, we're going to get to that. All right, we're going
So-
to get to that because I got some fun hypotheticals
Okay.
with regard to Bronny. But before that, real quick, I don't know how the math works, and maybe Brenden can check my. What the Lakers and Anthony Davis?
That's what I think is the more
Well, that
interesting
might
one.
be a breakup
LeBron,
on the
I
way.
think, is there until he retires.
He's okay.
Anthony Davis is the guy that I think has a little bit of juice left in that squeeze, and he might need to go somewhere where he can actually win because I just don't see it happening in L.A. Now, granted, it is L.A. They can figure out a way to bring in guys that actually want to be there and want to play in L.A., so I think that's what, the Lakers kind of have in their favor. But I just also think, LeBron James is still a high-level talent, a high-level player. I don't think that he's championship caliber anymore, especially as we talk about this changing of the guard. And I think Anthony Davis needs to go find a young star to pair with if he wants to, continue winning championships. I don't think it happens with him and LeBron.
I don't think so either.
4 years, $230 million left on Davis's deal.
Woo!
Okay.
It's a bag.
It's a lot
Highest
of money.
guarantee of any Laker, by far. His last year, boys, he's going to make $72 million.
That's a bag.
In 2027,
$72 million.
for AD.
And he's going to play about 34 games.
And
will be
played a lot of-
36
He
at the
played a lot
time.
of games this season. I
a
give him
lot.
credit, which is why I think, hey, pair him with somebody. But I do agree with you. I don't think he does that for the next 4 years.
That's
play
a lot of
as many
cheddar.
70 games like he did this year.
All right, let me play this fun game. We did this earlier in the show, Pounce, but I want to get your thoughts on this because The Athletic reported that the Lakers said they'd be willing to draft Bronny. Shams tweeted that out. Like the Lakers, some inside source from the Lakers says they would be willing to draft Bronny to keep LeBron around. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The Lakers don't have a pick till 55 because their number 17 pick belongs to the New Orleans Pelicans.
Right.
I brought up these two teams. If you were Cleveland or if you were the Knicks and you're picking in the 20s, Bronny's there.
Don't do it.
And you just go we could get maybe a guy at the end of the bench, maybe a two-way player in the end of the first round, or maybe we pick up Bronny and just see what the Lakers do. For disruption.
I get it, but I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it, especially because those are 2 playoff teams. I think.
But that's why I think it might work because you don't need to draft anybody.
Yeah, but I think in New
Bronny's
York,
just sitting there.
yeah, but I
pulling
think
in.
in New York's case, you don't want to really disrupt what you got going right now, and I think that would just be a huge disruption.
And that was where we talked about earlier. There's no way that Tom Thibodeau signs off on that. He's
No,
like, I
no,
can go
no,
get
no,
a
no,
defender
no.
at
Yeah.
pick 24.
Yeah.
But James Dolan, kind of crazy. Their owner.
Yeah, a little out there.
He's out there.
But I think New York.
He paid off a rock band, so he opens up for the Eagles. When
Yeah. But I do think in New York's case, though, like, they're doing well enough now to where they can not only get a quality draft pick, but they can also get like a quality free agent this summer as well that would actually want to play there because they're actually doing well, and it's New York. And so, again, the same I kind of said for AD in LA. It's like LA is one of the few markets that can kind of go get guys that want to be there. New York is still that market, and especially when they're playing well and they're playing good basketball right now, I don't think you disrupt that with LeBron and Bronny's dreams. I just don't.
Yeah, it'd be really fun, though.
Yeah, it would be crazy.
I had one scenario, and I don't think it's going to happen, but the reason why I bring up Cleveland again, because Bronny is not just in the NBA draft eligibility, he's also in the transfer portal.
Yes.
Right, and so I think he still has time.
Till May 29th.
Till May 29th, so he's got a month. Because the other scenario I thought, if LeBron and the Lakers are headed for a breakup, which he didn't say, nope, I'm going to be a Laker next year. He smiled and said, I'm not going to answer that after the game last night. LeBron goes back to Cleveland. Bronny goes to Ohio State, transfers to Ohio State, plays one more year, and then LeBron does the full circle back to Cleveland. That was the other thing I thought of.
Would be fire.
If, in fact, the Cavs, maybe they lose to the Magic, or even if they beat the Magic and they don't get past, who they've played? Pacers, I think? Is that who they would face?
Yeah, that's what 3-6.
Or the Cavs.
The Cavs would play the Pacers. Well, you got, let me break it down here now, live on air. You got the Celtics playing they're beating the Heat, and they would play. Who's the 4-5? No,
isn't it Sixers
Cavs.
Knicks? Or
Sixers, no,
the
Knicks are 2.
Yeah,
4
so
5 is
whoever wins-
Cavs Magic.
4 and 5 is Cavs Magic,
Boom.
so they would play the Celtics next. Game over.
Game over.
But no chance for either of those teams.
Yeah, game over.
We got about a minute. Bucks stick around with Giannis and Dame one more year, right?
Yeah,
the
especially
injury thing.
The injury thing.
Yeah.
The injury thing. I think you definitely.
And Doc Rivers got hired midway through the
Yeah,
season.
it's a lot of drama.
So you got to give
over
those
there.
three one full season.
Wholeheartedly
before
I agree
you.
with that. Yeah, they should stick together. I don't think they should break up. And again, they just had some bad luck and some old age and some aging, I should say. Not quite old age, but some aging.
Aging.
For sure.
All right. Coming up next, we wrap up the show. We've got a special Ebony and Ivory version of the RCM mailbag to put a lid on the Tuesday edition of Rip City Mornings here on Rip City Radio. All right, time to wrap up the big show. Devon Pouncey sticking with us here live in studio. We have the RCM mailbag, and with this segment, each and every Tuesday, we resurrected our old segment where we get to know each other, our own cultures, and we have an awful lot of fun. We come from a place of curiosity, not from a place of judgment. We call it Ebony and Ivory. Here we go. All right, this question, not really cultural, more like I'm curious about you personally, Pounds.
Okay.
There is a news story. Dave & Buster's is going to allow customers to bet on arcade games now.
Okay.
So
yeah.
if you are above the age of 18 and you are a loyalty member at Dave & Buster's, you can place wagers on your performance in games such as Pop-A-Shot, such as Skee Ball. So my question to you is, past, present, what arcade or Dave & Buster's game would you feel the most comfortable that you could clean up bet-wise?
Oh.
Are you a Pop-A-Shot guy? Because I know you're an actual collegiate basketball player, but
Yeah.
Pop-A-Shot's not real shooting.
It's not real shooting. No. You can't do air hockey?
You could throw air. Anything is open at this point.
I'm pretty decent air hockey
You
guy.
go air. You put
Pretty decent air hockey guy.
okay.
Yeah, I think I'll go air hockey.
Brenden, where are you putting your money in terms of
That's a great question.
like Dave & Buster games?
Driving, anything driving,
Ooh,
I'm
the
really
dri-
good
like,
at. Whether it's like NASCAR, as a kid, Hydro Thunder was my game, man.
Is that the one where you sit in the car?
Yeah, and it's like it's the boat. It's like the boat.
Oh, it's a boat.
Yeah, it's like Hydro. Like you get
Okay.
like that was kind of like the go-to arcade pizza game that I loved. NASCAR was a fun one too. So anything driving, I'd be good at. Or like you hop on the motorcycle. That's a good one too.
The motorcycle one looks cool. I was terrible. Every driving game growing up, and I can drive my car.
Yeah.
But when I was growing up, now I'm old enough. The game was called Pole Position.
Oh,
was
yeah.
the game, and all you had was just the wheel.
Yeah.
On the arcade. That was terrible. Absolutely terrible. If I go back in the day, you give me a Street Fighter II Championship Edition video game, it's going down.
Can you bet on can you bet on like a Pac-Man?
Yeah.
I'm a big Pac-Man guy.
In our hypothetical, you can bet on anything.
Okay.
You can bet on anything. You walk into a Dave & Buster's or any arcade, and they're just like, put your money down. Kind of like it was in the 80s.
Yeah.
It wasn't video games, but there was always two pool tables.
So
Yeah.
Justin, explain to me why that's not a casino.
I mean,
A casino is video games for adults who want to gamble. So explain to me why that's not a casino.
I believe
you see what I mean?
I believe it is, but I'm sure there is some loophole in the where's this? The story I saw is I think from Pennsylvania, but yeah, we have casinos on our phones now.
Yeah, you
It's
can
true.
bet. I mean, betting is just.
So you just walk into Dave & Buster's, you just get your card and go like, all right,
Okay, question
$5
for both
on the
of you guys.
Pop-A-Shot. Let's go.
Say would you like to say the Porter brothers walk into that Dave & Buster's? They going to start betting on stuff?
Well, one might.
Yeah.
One
Like,
might.
it just makes you wonder, like, we do sports betting, but it's already kind of come into this range where we're like, okay, some people are not utilizing it in the spirit it was meant to be utilized. And now it's like we're going to start creeping it in. How long before it's at Big Al's? How long before it's, all over the place now?
Dude, Big Al's. Just like, you get your loyalty card. It's like, all right, Pounce has got the air hockey table
Yeah.
locked down. We're starting at 20 a game.
20 a game.
Who
Let's
wants
get it.
some?
Come on.
Pounds
One
at the
by
end of the night.
one.
Brendan, you owe me $200. Yeah, well, you'll get it.
I mean, is it like, again, I got hooked, I'll be honest, and I have since beaten this addiction. But I got hooked on the Soda Crush.
Yeah.
I was in deep on the Soda Crush or whatever, with the Best Fiends.
Yeah.
That I was in deep. I had to go cold turkey and get deleted off the phone and the iPad. But like that's kind of
Betting at Dave and Buster's, that is blowing my mind a little bit. I shouldn't be surprised, but it's a little wild.
I've actually never been to one. Is there one even around these parts?
There's one in Clackamas.
I went to one like last summer, but it was in the Bay. It was in California. I don't think I've ever been to one here, but I've been in California plenty of times.
I think Kelly and I were out one time, and I'm like, let's go just see what Dave and Buster's is like. Let's just go have some drinks and play some. Walk it. Birthday party central. It was like 180.
180. Bye-bye now.
180 out. But yeah. So I wonder like how they would do like the basketball. Like, do you put like an over under, like 5? Because I'm sure they're betting against the house. And it's like
you got it. Yeah, I gotta read into this a little bit more because it's a little wild that Dave and Buster's would. I hope they're ready for what can come with that.
It doesn't look right now. I'm reading a little more into this. I think you won't be able to bet more than $5 a game.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's allowing loyalty
that kind of
members
limits it a little bit
to compete with one another. So you and I go into Dave and Buster's.
Yeah.
We each we got money on our Dave and Buster's account.
Card. Yeah.
And we're just like, all right, let's go. Pop a shot. $5.
This is where Dave and Buster's, Justin, anytime they want to have Rip City mornings over to like test this thing out, like, you know, we're always available.
Now, here's my other problem. Because I am a nice guy, but I think like a scumbag. But I don't act on it. I just think that $5 is going to, like, people are going to start chasing it, and all of a sudden, cash is going to start coming out.
For sure.
At the Dave and Buster's.
That's what I said. It's going to
Maybe not the Clackamas Dave and Buster's, but.
Good luck patrolling that. Maybe not the Clackamas one, but the one that I was talking about back there in California, that one there. Yeah, good luck.
All right. Here we go.
Side bets and all type of.
Oh, man. Yeah. You go you guys start setting odds. You get like one guy there, like, all right, you are minus 4.5.
For sure.
Let's go.
It's gonna get tricky. That's tricky territory.
Dude, Dave and Buster's gonna get wild.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Nuts.
My question for you is, and I know you grew up in Winston, not Salem, Oregon.
Not Salem.
Winston, Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a story when you have been, if at all, the token white guy.
I don't know if I ever have been. I have definitely been to a party where I was one of very few.
Yeah.
I don't think I was invited as like, hey,
that's the token.
We need the white guy. So I went to junior college just outside of Seattle in Bremerton, and so I played baseball.
Yeah.
All the baseball players, we're all white guys, and then the basketball team was all the Seattle kids. Up and over.
Seattle or Tacoma?
Mostly Seattle, some Tacoma.
But bring it all together.
Inner city.
Yeah.
Collegiate association. And so I made friends with a handful of the basketball players, and like they invited us over to their apartment one night. A very different party
than you were accustomed to.
It was a very different party.
And I would say maybe the biggest difference is you go to like a baseball party. What do I got? Like 40 seconds here? I can do this in 40 seconds.
You got it.
You kind of bring stuff to drink, and it's not fully communal, but it just kind of becomes like, hey, can I get one of those? I went to the basketball player party.
BYOB, baby.
And it was in hand.
Yep.
Do not set down.
BYOB. Bring your own bottle.
Exactly. There was no like, hey, let me get no. You show up. What's mine is mine. What's yours is yours.
That's right.
Let's all have a good time. So that was probably my first culture shock.
Yeah.
Leaving the fine town of Winston, Oregon.
I was the opposite way. I know I will get out of here quick. I was the opposite way, going to Pacific University in Forest Grove. Like, I used to just BYOB because that was what I knew while everybody else was playing 40 hands or whatever else. And I always got looked at crazy because I was the guy that wasn't really sharing. Like, I had my own situation and we were good to go.
There we go. What a way to get out on the show. He dropped a 40 hands on us. I've done that. Thanks to Devon Pouncey. Thanks to super producer Brenden. Thanks to all of you. Have a terrific Tuesday. We're back tomorrow morning on 620 Rip City Radio.